as that's the pathway. I'm going about it in a whole different way. It's very circuitous. I'm saying it wrong, but you know what I'm saying.
No, you said it circuitous.
Circuitous, yeah, and it's
circuitous.
Yeah,
circuitous. Circuitous sounds like a character from an Elizabethan novel. Have you met circuitous?
We better introduce circuitous to English Bob.
And now here is singer-songwriter, broadcaster, audio-video artist, entertainment agent, and your host. It's the master storyteller himself, James Kevin O'Connor.
Smile, fill your heart with laughter. It's what we all wish to capture. I've got the guest who knows what's best for you. Yes, I do. Wait till you hear who we got today. With dual chops in comedy and advertising, this man has enjoyed an eclectic career spanning 2 decades as a message therapist and as a stand-up comedian playing gigs across the country. Empathy and accessibility are the hallmarks of his work. He hosts the top 1% Truth Tastes Funny podcast, seeking survival tips for a chaotic world, and it's followed up with Yes Brand. That's right, he's got 2 podcasts, helping founders and CEOs tackle branding challenges with humor and humanity. It is my pleasure and privilege to introduce not only a great podcaster, but a dear friend now. His name is Hersh Rephun.
So the man who has 2 brands, not just one brand, he's got the Yes Brand podcast, and he's also got the comedy channel Truth Tastes Funny. And I got to hand it to you, Hersh. You're in stereo. You're the two-gunslinger from the West. Just, I don't know how you're doing it, because it's overwhelming the amount of work to put a podcast together, and Hersh is doing it times 2. So I want to ask you first and foremost, what made you decide? I know this must have been a wrestling match for you, because it was for me, because as you know, I love comedy too, and I had it kind of rolled into here, and I was thinking of splitting it up, and I just never had the nerve to do it. So how did you finally say, I'm just going to do this, I'm going to do 2 shows? What was the eclipse moment that made that happen?
Well, I appreciate your giving me, James, the credit for planning that, but it really wasn't. I really didn't plan it. What happened was I started Truth Tastes Funny first, and I was building an audience for it, but I have this whole other side, and it wasn't just funny. It was human interest and some really heavy personal development topics and things, but I was not dealing with branding and what I felt was happening. And I have a whole career in messaging and public relations and copywriting and all that stuff. And what I realized was I needed to let the Truth Tastes Funny concept be what it wanted to be. And then I wanted to have a forum for the ideas that come up when I'm talking to someone about their brand. And so the Yes Brand podcast was born. And it comes from that improv rule of yes and. You never say no to an idea. And as you know, we like to play with those ideas, and that's what the creative element affords us, a chance to play. So it's a playground for brand strategy and for creative ideas. And they're both just growing kind of parallel. They're really complementary to one another. The truth, the idea that life throws us these crazy curveballs and chaos, and we have to muddle through it with a sense of humor, is Truth Tastes Funny. And the fact that when we talk to our consumer, our audience, we have to talk honestly and that often involves having a little bit of a sense of humor and certainly a lot of humanity. So they really complement one another, I think.
Yeah, so as being a super creative, it's kind of obvious that you've had this. Have you struggled with, and I'm sure you have, the too many idea syndrome, shiny metal object syndrome? You want to build everything, you want to create everything. So I'm assuming that's you, because I know it's been me, and I've come up with the garage concept. It wasn't even mine. Somebody had told me this a while back. Just, you don't have to kill it. Just put it in the garage for a while until it's ready. And I did that with my branded songs. I proved the concept, but I had so many other things going on that I couldn't turn my attention to it. And it seems like it's finally its time to shine. How do you handle that, Hersh, when you have so many great ideas? Do you put them in the parking lot or the garage, or do you try to work on every single thing? How do you deal with it?
That's a great question, James, because the truth is, you're right. Like, sometimes it's like, I don't know if I'm a super creative or just a hyper creative.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just, so what I used to do is I used to write the ideas down or put them in a document or whatever it might be. But what I didn't realize was that wasn't helping me stay focused, because if I'm getting the idea that is irrelevant to whatever I'm doing, that means I'm not focusing. And so what I did was, I realized that I have to focus on one big goal at a time. So in other words, I'm writing a book. Okay, well, I don't have to stop the world to write the book, but the book is connected to Yes Brand and to my my work in brand voice and strategy. So everything has to be aligned. Truth Tastes Funny, as a sister podcast to Yes Brand, is very important, and it's part of my routine now. As a person, like going to the gym, it's all integrated. But stand-up comedy right now wouldn't really be conducive to getting all these things done. So I'm not doing it. I'm not getting on stage right now, and I'm not writing material. And I'm sure subconsciously it's developing, but I'm not trying to spread myself that thin.
Yeah.
The book serves the career, serves the audience, serves the same audience. So, I'm just really trying to keep all those things aligned and book as much time on my schedule for the things I need to do, so that those windows, are set, so that I know that, there's enough time in the week to do the things that I'm trying to do, and avoiding burnout. I'm sure you can relate to that too. It's like, when you're any kind of business person can face burnout, but when you're a creative person, you can burn yourself out in one day, in one night of too much creative flow, of just overdoing it, sapping your energy.
You bring up such a good point, because you as a comedian and me as a musician, we both find ourselves on a similar journey here, which is, turning to podcasting in the interim to build our respective businesses is such a great idea, because for me to get in front of, with all original material, 26,000 people, okay, it's probably not going to happen at this point, because I haven't put enough focus and attention on my music career, as that's the pathway. I'm going about it in a whole different way. It's very circuitous. I'm saying it wrong, but you know what I'm saying.
No, you said it circuitous.
Circuitous, yeah, and it's
circuitous.
Yeah,
Circuitous sounds like a character from an Elizabethan novel. Have you met Circuitous?
We better introduce Circuitous to English Bulb. So the journey here is, if I can be in front of, with all of my creative abilities, these thousands of people. I mean, that was last month, and it'll be over 30,000 as we were just talking about this month, and it's like on a really strong growth path, and that will open up the opportunity for me to go and do the right gigs with the right people at the right time and still be able to use my broadcasting career as kind of the hub, if you will. It's home base for all the other things, for coaching and everything. And you're doing the same thing. I mean, you're able to reach people with comedy without burning a whole night of doing a gig in some comedy club. I mean, it's tough for comedians, I know, and musicians it's even worse. You're gonna drag equipment and hope people show up and hope you get paid, and you're traveling and you're going to hotels and whatever. So it's not a glorious life unless there's two. It's almost like there's very few in the middle, but there's people way at the top end who are making tons of money and have fabulous careers, and then there's people who are trying to do it from the bottom. And it seems like very little in the middle there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But this is a pathway. Is you can entertain your audience, you can trot out your brands of your abilities as a business person of what you can do for people, and still have your creative. You're doing your book. I just put a book out last year. I got another album I'm working on. It'll be my fourth album on Music Row. I'm working towards that. So it's all good in Podcastville.
Right. That's what it feels like, is that this, for me, the whole thing started with the podcast, all of the community, all of the masterminds and other things that I'm doing, and even the book. And it all started with Kyle Sullivan reaching out to me and saying, do you want to do a podcast? Have you thought about doing a podcast? And I don't know, something inside me just said, these are great people to be involved with, the Pantheon people. These are people who really have a greater goal, and that's always encouraging. And so that's why the podcast thing is a hub.
Yeah.
It is a hub for me in the way that I operate. But I think it's always good to have, a through line and say, okay, I'm not going to just go day to day and see what happens.
Yeah.
I want to be very intentional about my career at this point.
Well, I think you are. I mean, you've stated that, you're doing this and you're keeping two brands alive and you're writing the book. And I'm sure we're going to see you on stage at some point, at some point early in the future, doing your live thing as well. So this affords all of this. And I think really the greatest part of this, Hersh, I think, is the relationships. Because, I mean, all those interviews I did, I've got 370 in the can now, I think. And, I remember almost every single one. There might be a few there that I'm a little sketchy about. But in almost every case, there's a relationship still there. Somebody I spent an hour or more with and learned about their music or their book or their profession or something, which it kind of has legs. And it's really so cool to have that intimacy with somebody, their spirit, their personality, who they are, what they do, their whole lot in life and everything. So very few things are out there that can connect us in this way.
Yeah, I took a stab at podcasting several years ago, and it was the Yes brand concept also, but I didn't know very much about, marketing. I didn't have a community. So I interviewed mostly my friends, people that I already knew. And the problem with that is that you're really wasting, you would have that conversation anyway. Yeah. So and if you're not really marketing it, which I had a platform that I thought was helping, but it was not. It was just a blind leading the blind type of thing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and putting on a show in the barn, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I was doing the same thing. Yeah,
but now I feel like, okay, every interview that I do, and some people like you and we know each other already. And now we're trying to take that to another level and share it with an audience. And, and kind of extend that. But for the most part, people they come on the show. I don't really know that much about them. Um, and then by the end of the time with them, I have a really pretty deep understanding of what they do and what their goals are, and we build on that. And then, it may be a couple months before I talk to them again, but most of them get my newsletter, which I do, for people who come on the show, but I only do it once a week, really.
Yeah.
There's sometimes where I'll do a campaign like I did recently where uh I'll talk about my writing and what I'm up to and what I'm doing, but for the most part it's once a week, and they're going to just see the episodes that are the newest episodes on there. And a little bit, to foster that community of people that I'm building within my little world of these two shows.
Yeah. So as we could spend all day, Hersh. I think you and I, we could just jam. So I want to get to a couple things before we wrap up. Best customer for you and your two brands. Like you're a branding guy, so who would be the best customer out there, and what can you say to our community of listeners who are on the fence with their business, their brand, and they know they need to do something? How can we get them over the line to reach out to you?
Right. I would say that, and I was reluctant to say this, but it really just kind of crystallized for me. My ideal customer has a messaging problem. And by that, I don't mean that their brand is, or their company or their little business, big business isn't doing well or working. But their problem is they want to get to another level, and they're finding that they're not standing out in the way, that they're not making the progress they need to make. And not everybody's in that position. That isn't everybody. That isn't every brand or every entrepreneur. But at that moment where they're like, I got to do a big campaign, I got to shake things up, I got to change my voice a little bit, I have to break through to these people that I'm cultivating around me, so that they buy from me, so that they help my company grow. I work best in that environment where someone comes to me with a problem, and I'm a literary problem solver. I'm a strategic problem solver. That's what differentiates me probably from a copywriter who just has a really good way with words. I really do understand the big picture of a client. But I would say that, recognizing that they have a problem is why I sometimes call it message therapy. Even though, and someone said to me recently, oh, well, then they'll think that they have a problem, or you're framing their business as having a problem. And I'm like, not in the sense that there should be any shame around therapy. Therapy should be a great thing. Therapy should be a wellness thing. So the same thing for your brand. Working on your message should be a great thing, a wellness thing, a progress thing. And that would be my advice to listeners out there is, it isn't, success is just a messed up word. Success is a really weird word. And success also is probably a word that it gets applied in retrospect. That campaign was a success. That business was a success. That endeavor was a success. So don't worry about the word success. Worry about progress. Worry about whether what you're doing today is bigger and better than what you were doing yesterday, and what you're doing tomorrow is something that your path is, you're feeling like you're on a really good path towards something. But the success thing, oh, I don't know if I'm successful enough, I don't know if don't worry about it.
Yeah.
So that's something you can worry about later, if you even worry about it at all. And I would bet that most people ultimately, if they follow this path of just progress every day, that they're never going to really worry about, success is just a word. And trust me, I'm a word guy, and it's probably the least important word in the end. what happens today, what goes on today is much more important.
Hersh Rephun, he's the man. So give us the best place, Hersh, for people to reach out and connect to you so they can get on your schedule like right away.
Yeah, the best place to find me is actually on my InPhone. My InPhone, INPHONE.co/Hersh, HERSH. And I give that out because this way everybody can reach me in whatever way they want to reach me. If they want to book time, if they want to find out about the podcasts, if they want to follow me on Instagram, this way they have everything at their fingertips and they can get in touch with me if they want to send a message. It's all inclusive. So
we will put all of your links in the show notes, Hersh, including InPhone. Maybe we'll put a little plug for Steve Ramona in there too.
That's right, Steve Ramona, our friend, guest, host, and just all around networking savior.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is the marketing guru for sure, man. He's down the river. He doesn't need to paddle. He's got it going on. Hersh, this was awesome. I really appreciate you coming on, podcasting your global career, and I want to wish all of God's blessings on you, your business, your family moving forward, and that sweet little girl that created that song with you. God bless you, man.
Oh, thank you, James. Thank you, brother, and same to you.
Hey, if you guys like what's going on here, please leave a great review in the Apple Podcasts. I've left a simple review process in the show notes, and we'd really appreciate it. And also, don't be shy. Forward this to your best friend because you know they need it. Hey, if you need some coaching, hit up the link in the show notes. It's calendly.com/Dharmic. And you can take a little chance with me, and I'll get you on your way. That's a wrap for me today. I'm your host, James Kevin O'Connor. So until the next time, when we meet again, I'll either see you on the socials, or I'll see you from the stage.
Ride on, baby, won't you take a ride with me? Ride on, we can untangle all the mystery. If wishes were windows, I'd open one and find that freedom is really a simple state of mind. So ride on, baby, won't you take a ride with me? Ride on, we can untangle all the mystery. Ride on, baby, you and I can find the key. Ride on, we can unlock each other's destiny. I taste the breeze of freedom, it's tingling on my tongue. You and I out on the road will stay other's destiny. I'll take you places that you've never seen. I'll take you places that you never dreamed. I'll take you places that were pictures in your mind. I'll take you places